Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX and I'm Megha Sharma. Now, security forces in Bangladesh have launched a crackdown on the supporters of the US President-elect Donald Trump. There were several groups of people in Dhaka who were gathered to celebrate Trump's emphatic victory in the US elections. However, their rallies were scuttled by the police. Their banners and placards congratulating Trump were confiscated as well. The Dhaka Metropolitan Police maintains that the gatherings were quote-unquote illegal and the supporters were conspirators who supported Bangladesh's ousted ex-leader Sheikh Hasina. All this comes mere days after Donald Trump condemned the barbaric violence against Hindus and other minorities in the country. Meanwhile, Bangladesh's interim government has stated that it would request an Interpol Red Notice alert to repatriate deposed Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and her Awami League colleagues from abroad to face trial for alleged crimes against humanity. Now, it is no secret that the Bangladeshi government's chief advisor, Muhammad Yunus, has been critical of Donald Trump earlier. As someone who enjoys a close association and patronage of the Clintons, Yunus branded Trump's victory back in 2016 as a solar eclipse that hit him hard. So, with Trump coming back into power, will Yunus's moves backfire? Let's start our conversation. Joining me on the telecast, Ambassador Sikri. Ambassador Sikri, what is happening in Bangladesh currently, especially in wake of the comments that have come from Elon Musk, who's touted to be playing a strong role in the government of Donald Trump when the appointments happen, which are going to be part of the Donald Trump government, where he is ominous in his warnings that Elon Musk obviously talking about a number of issues, but also Donald Trump who's been very critical and raised the issue of the Hindus being targeted and the violence against Hindus in Bangladesh. Not to mention, as we spoke about earlier in the previous episodes, that there has been a close association and a patronage that Yunus government receives from the Clintons. Yunus has been very strongly advocating the Democrats in America since a very long time. So in a situation such as this, where the Yunus government is anti-Republicans and Donald Trump has come to power, what is going to be the fate of the Bangladeshi government and Bangladesh? Ambassador Sikri, if you could respond to that. Okay, while we try to fix that audio connection with her, Sumit, would you like to comment on this and this situation? Do you think the Yunus government finds itself in a very precarious situation, because it was set up, it was established with the help of the Democrats, and here you have a Republican that has taken over? Do you think it will be difficult for the Yunus government to sustain?
Megha ji, thank you for having me on your show. Well, it is clearly evident what we are seeing in Bangladesh today. You see his pictures with Clinton, his pictures with Joe Biden, and his pictures with Hillary, his pictures with Obama. He was a Democratic guy. He was installed by them. His relations with Clinton Foundation. He is clearly a Democratic guy. And this puppet regime in Bangladesh was the brainchild of Victoria Nuland and Donald Liu. When this regime is gone, and when especially Trump is talking about the persecution of Hindus in Bangladesh, that is what is irking him. When he is getting irked, the problem is that these people who are carrying the process of Donald Trump, they get arrested, they are put in the jail. Yunus and the deep state never expected, including China, Trump will come to power. They hope that Harris will come to power, and if Harris comes to power, it will be business as usual. For the Trump, even before getting elected, talking about the persecution of Hindus in Bangladesh, talking about the plight of Hindus in Bangladesh becomes very important, because out of 200 plus countries in the world, if Trump is focusing on a small country or Bangladesh and on a small 10 million minority of Hindus of Bangladesh, that is what is not definitely a good news for Yunus. He is a stooge of China and the Democrats, and also takes dictations from Jamaat and ISI. So, because if you look at his scheme of things, everything is falling apart. Everything is falling apart. That is why we are seeing these knee-jerk reactions from Bangladesh police. That is why we are seeing these people getting rattled and beating around the bush.
Right.
Challenge is that Yunus sees his timer is on. His timer of exile or exit is already on. His worst nightmare, like she's worst nightmare is Donald Trump. Yunus's worst nightmare is Donald Trump coming to power with such a majority, with a clean sweep and absolute mandate in the Congress, Senate, White House, everywhere he has the powers and the mandate, and Trump has 2 years to prove his mettle before the midterm elections come. So they know that this is how it is happen, and it's not good news for Yunus and his gang.
Okay.
I'd say gang.
Okay, all right. Ambassador Veena Sikri, if you can hear me now. Yes. So, Ambassador, it was also interesting to note when Donald Trump won the election, the congratulatory note that came from Sheikh Hasina, and she signed it off saying Prime Minister of Bangladesh. Uh, how is that going to reflect in Donald Trump's foreign policy in Bangladesh? Do you think there is any chance of Sheikh Hasina and the Awami League being reinstated and carry on with their affairs and governance of Bangladesh, and what happens to Yunus and the extremist parties that are at this point of time together to form government in Bangladesh?
Well, there are 2 or 3 points here. One is that Sheikh Hasina, in fact, did not sign any resignation letter. She just left the country, and it's very clear because although at that time the impression was given, person A told person B and person B told person C, yes, there's a resignation letter, but in the end nobody could find it, and Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina herself said that she has not signed any resignation letter. So in that situation, it is for the constitutional experts to decide whether can a new government be sworn in, on what basis is the new government being sworn in, and they've been sworn in with an oath of allegiance to the existing constitution of Bangladesh. But after coming in, they're doing their best to overturn that constitution. So it is indeed a very messy constitutional situation in Bangladesh. Many believe that this government, interim government, is not a constitutionally constituted government. The Supreme Court is supposed to have told the president, Supreme Court of Bangladesh told the president that yes, maybe you can swear in an interim government, but that was on the assumption that Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has actually resigned. So there is a confusion, a definite confusion here, and it needs to be definitely sorted out. In any case, even the concept of interim government, it does not exist in the present constitution of Bangladesh, to which all the advisors of the present government, including Professor Muhammad Yunus, have sworn their allegiance to. That constitution has no reference to an interim government. It just has reference to elections every 5 years and to the election commission and so on. So, you can understand that it is indeed a very strange situation, and this government is now worried. And of course, earlier on, they were going by the fact, they were very delighted with the fact that the American government was supporting them fully and had said that, without actually saying so, they said, yes, we recognize your government, or we are happy to work with your government. I don't think they actually have used the term recognize, they said we are happy to work with your government. And on that basis, there was a delegation received by Professor Muhammad Yunus and so on. That infamous Donald Liu was a part of that delegation who came to Bangladesh. And the former American ambassador, he in fact is back in Bangladesh now in a private capacity. He has resigned from foreign service and he's there as the representative of a private company and energy company. So, it is really a very difficult situation, and the mobocracy that has prevailed. For example, when you want the Supreme Court judges to resign, a mob surrounds the Supreme Court judges' offices and forces them to step down. So there is no absolutely constitutional method in which that has been employed. So this is what is causing a lot of concern among the people of Bangladesh. And many people now started saying that, earlier it was better. I gave bhalo chilo. So this feeling is growing in Bangladesh. Now, coming to the immediate cause, what happened was that yesterday on Sunday, the Awami League is now gradually wanting to reassert itself because they've been excluded, very deliberately excluded from any event. They were not invited to the inauguration, they'd not been invited to any other event or discussion. Even when the Chief of Army Staff had a party discussion, the Awami League was not invited. So obviously, if any elections are to be held, they have to be free, fair and inclusive. But there is no sign of that at all. And yesterday the Awami League wanted to have a procession in honor of one of their martyrs who was cut down during Ershad's time. And at the same time, because the news about President Donald Trump had come, so a lot of people had printed posters favoring Donald Trump. Congratulating him. All these were torn down, all these were broken, and the procession itself was not allowed to take place. Now this too is being looked at, that why is one party not being allowed, because the Awami League is now being described as a fascist party, and there have been complaints. The Awami League has gone to the ICC in complaining against the interim government, and the interim government has gone to Interpol, asking for Sheikh Hasina to be returned. It is really a very confusing and messy situation.
Okay.
And The interim government, instead of organizing elections, is talking about constitutional reform. They are being controlled fully by the Jamaat-e-Islami. Fully. And the
Yeah,
Hizb ut-Tahrir is now part of the interim government,
Okay.
sworn in yesterday as part of the interim government.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the banned Islamist organizations. And what are they doing in the interim government? They don't want elections at all. They want to spend years and years reforming the constitution.
Right, absolutely. And therefore, the postponement, time and again, the Yunus government, the chief advisor Yunus at this point of time saying that, yes, initially there was, a lot of talk about once there is, calming down of the situation, the protests calming down, the riots that had happened being, completely broken up, there would be a reinstatement of government after the elections take place. This continues to be delayed month after month. Prashanta Kumar Shil is the academician and political commentator also on the telecast with me. Prashant, how do you view the situation? Do you think the breaking down of the Yunus government is now imminent after Donald Trump has come to power?
Okay, you know that there is also a very fan base in Awami League. Awami League is a very old political party in Bangladesh, and that's why you see before the Trump's win, that we know that already in Pakistan. What I will see that in Pakistan, the PTI leader from Imran Khan, the leader, they thought that if Donald Trump win, they have a very cherished comeback from the Rizwan part. And also people thought in Bangladesh, in perspective of Awami League, their supporter, to think that despite of Trump's win, there is a very good chance to come back again in Sheikh Hasina. The people think, and that the protests come from placed from 10 November, basically in Dhaka. Absolutely, this is a very hostile situation, and that the situation is another point. You know that there is some bindings in Bangladesh in present time, because some Islamist political parties, they call in Hafazat Islam, they already raised the voice against the Hindus organizations. Hindus, one of the very modern organizations who had already is connection in Hindu mythology and Hindu practice. They call the organization name ISKCON. ISKCON is all, you are all know that they are very established in worldwide. They have very several verses in worldwide, but they announced and they proclaimed that several times ISKCON is one of the terrorist organizations. Can you believe? ISKCON already they can promoting, chanting Hare Krishna all over the world. They are very full military. So
Sorry, there is a network problem over there. We'll try to fix it. Meanwhile, Major General Sanjay Soy also on the telecast with me. Major General Soy talking about the Interpol notice that has been requested by the Bangladeshi government to repatriate the deposed Prime Minister. Do you think there are going to be hurdles faced by the Bangladeshi government after the new regime that takes over?
Yeah, in fact, it's
you know
very,
that Arab Emirates a lot been very.
I'll come back to you, Prashant Kumar Shil. Let's bring Major General Sanjay Soy into the discussion. Yes.
So, I would say that it is a problem. In fact, since this thing was expected, they were saying for some time that Sheikh Hasina should come back. They should get her back, and especially in view of the latest development in Bangladesh. Two things have happened. On one side, that Trump has won, and he has spoken very clearly against the treatment of minorities, Hindus and other minorities, Christians and other Buddhists and others. And second thing, that Awami League has of late become very active since last couple of days. In fact, as Ambassador Sikri was saying, that because of the rallies, and now they are trying to regroup and again showing their presence, because for some time the kind of pressure which was built upon them, and Muhammad Yunus was worried about the both aspects. That's why that proactive crackdown is taking place on the protesters, on the likely leaders, and as well as another pressure is being built up on Sheikh Hasina by sending a notice through Interpol. So I think the main thing is that Muhammad Yunus is now worried, and it is something like reactive scenario for him, that what to do and how to react to the latest development, because they thought that Biden, Kamala Harris will come back, Democrats will be back in the power, and the thing would be different. However, this thing that has not happened. That's why the kind of statement which Trump has made Muhammad Yunus worried about the future. Yeah,
Okay, all right. Let's also, reflect on what the statement of Muhammad Yunus was when he sent out that congratulatory message to Donald Trump, and he's referred Donald Trump to be the Messiah. So, with me, is it just political compulsions? The reason being that Muhammad Yunus has sent out that very heartwarming congratulatory note to Donald Trump.
You see, Meghaji, the challenge is very simple. Yunus knows where his allegiance are. Donald Trump knows where he comes from. So what is his only option? His only option to stick back to power is, bhai, tu mai baap ho. So Messiah, if I do a rough Hindi translation, aap mai baap ho. Saab main let jata hu, पैरों में गिर जाता हूं. That is exactly what he's saying. There's another word of English, but I don't want to use it on a national broadcast. It starts with S. So that is exactly what he is doing. He is trying to keep Donald Trump happy, but he doesn't know Donald Trump is a very transitional man. Donald Trump has a lot of knowledge about the region, and Donald Trump's IQ is double than of a common man. Let me tell that to Yunus if he's hearing this. So if you think these pleasantries and these dramas and these tactics can work, they can work with a Joe Biden, who was possibly in a state of dementia, or with a Kamala Harris, or with your good friend Barack Hussain Obama, but they will not work with this, because you cannot hide your muck, you cannot hide your evil intentions. Like what my friend was saying, I was rattled when I came to know that they are trying to describe, or they have literally told that ISKCON is a terrorist organization. For the sake of God, ISKCON, which is present in the whole world, becomes a terrorist organization in Bangladesh. You don't, let's say, celebrate Diwali. You don't want to say, we want us to, have this Ram Leela. You don't want us to have a Durga Pandal. And at the top of that, you want now American patronage, American money, so that, your Chinese bosses cannot help you more, because after the Trump has come to power, China is not going to do what it used to do before for Bangladesh, because China's economy will be squeezed. And the problem for Yunus is when Sheikh Hasina wrote a kind of a message to Donald Trump saying, let's looking forward to working with you. Then the Pythoras or the Pandora's box opened, which Meena ma'am rightly brought up. By resignation ka hai? There is no resignation of Sheikh Hasina. So when you look all the things together, now what he is trying to do is a typical case of Al-Taqiya. Let me, मैं पैरों में गिर जाता हूँ, let me, do this namaskar and let me buy some more time. But the thing is, Yunus is exposed. His evil intentions are exposed. His evil intentions against Hindus are exposed. He can be a shaved man, but he's a more dangerous than the mullah.
Okay, all right. Ambassador Sikri, again, again, let's talk about Donald Trump's intentions over here. Now, he definitely does not have altruistic intentions or motives over here. What is it that Donald Trump has to gain? One thing was very clear when he reached out to the Hindus and spoke about the atrocities being meted out to them in Bangladesh, a way of reaching out to the Hindu American vote. But is there something beyond it?
Well, I think certainly during President Donald Trump's first term as office of the president, he had shown clearly that he does not favor any Islamist ideologies. I mean, he'd been very, very strong on this point. He even banned certain countries from sending their people or getting them to come to the USA even on visits. And he'd been very clear that he will not tolerate any Islamist ideology. And I think that is one point. So this fact that now, this interim government has all the Islamists. It has the Hizb ut-Tahrir, it has the Hifazat-e-Islam, and the interim government, in any case, even when that provision was there in the constitution, was supposed to be a completely neutral body, preoccupied only with organizing elections and nothing else. So in Donald Trump's message, he spoke about the chaos in Bangladesh. When he refers to the chaos in Bangladesh, he means that whatever this government is trying to do or says they are trying to do, he doesn't approve of it. It's landing up in chaos. And we know, for example, the economy is going into a very sharp downslide, and the factories are not working because the factory workers are also on strike. They also have their own demands, and which obviously the Yunus administration cannot meet. So everybody is dissatisfied, and the control is not there. There's a completely anarchy, and the attacks on the Buddhists in Khagachari, the Hindus in Chittagong. They took place so violently and with participation of members of the armed forces. There were soldiers over there taking part in that, which is absolutely unheard of. So I think that President Donald Trump will not like any kind of chaos. He wants a proper, legally recognized government to be installed in Bangladesh.
Okay.
Now, how be done? This is the key point. The resignation of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina not there. Will there have to be elections? Should there be a national consensus government? There are many options to be considered for this, which are being discussed very actively all around.
Okay.
But
Okay,
point
all
is-
right. Major General Sanjay Soy, beg your pardon. Let's get in Prashant Kumashil also. I hope that audio problem has now been fixed. Prashant, how do you view the current situation and particularly the intention of the Donald Trump administration to bring about, sanity in Bangladesh amidst the riots, the protests that took place, extremist political parties now joining hands, joining forces to form government. There has been delay in the election process, which had been promised by Muhammad Yunus just a few months ago. And do you think Donald Trump and the American administration is too invested into what happens in the subcontinent and particularly in Bangladesh?
Yes, Meghaji, you know that Donald Trump is a gigantic leader. He cannot control only 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, 2 crore people. He's the control the all the world. You know, the very well know what the politics is going on. So the issues already, the US elections, you know that he gave a statement, wrote in Twitter, what the positions in Bangladesh in minorities Hindus. You can no doubt what the situation is going on. But you know that very unfortunately to see that in Bangladeshi media, in our media, local media, they have not the real scenario of the suffering of Hindus minorities. Actually, this is the problem. And you know that the talk about the ISKCON is now, in Bangladesh, they can talk about raised boys the Hindus minorities separation, raised boys the Hindus minorities rights. That's why they are the terrorist organization. So this is very funny. You know that who is the terrorist organization? Search in Google. You find the list of the total list of which organization is a terrorist movement, and you can call upon one is the non-political organizations, Djibouti's organization that call you can claim. ISKCON is a terrorist organization. It's a funny game, not in circus. So that's why my observation point of view, Donald Trump administration very wonderful. They have an
all right.
okay,
Fair enough. You made your point. Major Sanjay Soy, why would the American administration look towards the subcontinent in bringing about peace and stability in Bangladesh? We've seen in the past they have their own issues to deal with. Donald Trump being extremely transactional, what is he getting out of it?
Sorry, I couldn't get your question. You said
what
that
is Donald Trump getting out of it in exchange if he goes about supporting the Hindu Bangladeshis and also looking forward to putting in effort and finances to ensure that there is sanity and a democratic government installed in Bangladesh? Living miles away, living in a different continent in America, which is miles away, and with a time zone difference of 12 to 15 hours.
See, the Bangladesh is a very important nation for US also, because China was trying to get into Bangladesh. They were trying to finance and they were trying to dominate the policies with the loan diplomacy. That is where probably they didn't want the Democrat-supported government, and which was going into the hands of China. Donald Trump, being a strong leader, he will make sure that the democracy returns to the Bangladesh, the Sheikh Hasina comes back, and yes, his aim of highlighting the problems on the minorities is to send a message. Yes, we are there for the minority, and we are there for the democracy, and we are there for Sheikh Hasina, and that is where probably the Muhammad Yunus is having a problem, and that's why probably what Sumit Peer had said, that he's gone rushing to Trump, okay, I am with you, congratulatory message, and all kinds of gestures he has made. Megha.
Okay, all right. Okay, Sumit wants to make a quick point. Yes.
The point here is, look, if you talk of Quad, if you talk of Indo-Pacific Command, if you talk of Trump's priority of countering China, if you talk of US doctrine where China is the revised nuclear doctrine where China is the #1 threat, and if you talk of the stability of the global economy, Trump needs India. And Trump needs the Hindus, and Trump is completely against this Islamic hegemony, not against Muslims but against the Islamic hegemony. If you look at all these strategic things, a strong resilient India, a strong resilient Hindu is what is in the strategic interest of United States of America. When we as a diaspora, there are 1% of the population, give 6% of the tax, have double the household income, 60% graduates, 30% people with masters, and we are nation builders. So it's but natural, where does he put his money on? If the option is between India and China, he has to put money on India and look for India's interest, because you need India as much as we need you. It's a give and take.
Okay, all right. On that note, I'm out of time. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast. There's some breaking development coming in from Money.